like compared to other European cities, it's it's crazy to live there. It's very chaotic. It's like there's dirty all around.
But you have so much. There's so much cultural heritage.
Yeah,
You just
yeah,
go, next door. There's another cultural landmark. It's
yeah.
incredible.
That's really nice. It's really, and you tell me that you see Florence. Florence, in my opinion, it's beautiful. It's incredible. Venice, if you're able to go there without too many tourists. So we can have a tourist. If I cannot share my screen, and we can have a tourist panel today, and we can speak about
No, no,
a
we'll
suggestion.
be able to. We'll be
Don't
able to.
worry,
There's a
don't
button
worry,
that
man.
I need to do it later. But maybe if we broadcast, I'll be able to do it. So we'll
Yeah,
just let
Okay.
the. There you go. There you go. I figured it out. Okay, so we're gonna start
There you go.
broadcast. All right, Doc Teddy, thank you. There you go.
Hashtag Bangon Pilipinas. Blackwater would like to support our heroes of the front line who are risking their health and well-being to attend to COVID-19 patients. We aim to provide the frontliners of the Pasig City General Hospital hygiene kits which they can use daily. Blackwater, smell good, feel good. This webinar series is brought to you by Hoop Coaches International in cooperation with Blackwater. Smell good, feel good. This coaching webinar series would like to give special thanks to the following: Samahang Basketball ng Pilipinas Coaches Commission Head, Coach Jong Yochico. Basketball Coaches of the Philippines President, Coach Louis Gonzalez. Got Skills Head, Coach Alan Ricardo. And frontliner Christopher Top Huyano.
Good evening again, dear coaches, our attendees, and thank you so much for joining us in our last session for tonight. We're so privileged to have an Italian coach with us. But again, I would like to say hello again to our resident sports psychologist, Doc Teddy. Doc Teddy, good evening.
Good evening, Coach Ariel. Good afternoon, Coach Francesco.
Yes, and yeah. Well, I've mentioned it's an Italian coach all the way from Italy. It's afternoon there, 4 o'clock, coach. Am I right?
Yeah, 4 o'clock.
4
Yeah,
4
you're right.
4 p.m. And yeah. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce to you our attendees, Coach Francesco Nanni. I hope I pronounced that right.
Perfectly. Yeah, perfectly.
Francesco. Good afternoon. And I'd just like to ask how was your coaching journey? How did you get started?
So I got started because, as many other coaches, I was pretty bad at playing basketball. And when I was
Uh huh.
16, I was cut from the first group of my own age. So I had the privilege to have a great coach, and he was also a role model for me. So I started by being his assistant, and I wanted to get some pocket money, to go out with my friend. And I didn't want to rely on my parents too much. So I was like, yeah, if I start coaching like small kids, and after there, the passion grow and grow, and I got to be a head coach of bigger and bigger kids. And since I'm 26 right now, and in the past 3 seasons, I've been an assistant coach in our professional team. In my city, it's the second Italian league. It's a pretty good level for European standards, with probably a little bit lower than Spain and Germany, but it's still competitive. And I've been lucky enough to learn from many good coaches, and I'm really honored to be here, to share with people from all around the world what I've learned.
Thank you. So yeah, coach. How's it there now in Italy? I know our information about the situation. So we're just hearing from the news. So how are you guys in Italy right now?
Well, we are doing fine. At least I'm lucky enough that in my part of the country, the situation was not too bad, and it was pretty tragic in a lot of part of the countries. Like the
Mm-hmm.
hospital were overwhelmed, and many people have died, and that's tragedy. And now we are loosening some restrictions, and it's really up, as many other countries in the world are doing, and it's really up to us, because like we cannot being stuck in the house for all our life, but now we need to be responsible when we're going out. We need to keep our distance. We need to not create like big gathering of people. So it's a delicate phase because it's a transition between like the lockdown and back to normality. So it's a middle ground where it's gonna be up to us, you know.
I'm sure that's Filipinos can relate because there's a lot of Filipino overseas workers that are working in Italy. So that is a good update. So, Coach, yeah, I'm gonna lead you now to your topic about attacking, switching defenses. So, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you so much. I will share my screen so it's easier. So here it is. We'll start with my keynote presentation. Okay, so first of all, attacking a switching defense. Why I picked this topic? Because I see that switching defense is trending more and more in the NBA, in the EuroLeague basketball, and so many teams have problem, and even top level team attacking a switching defense. So why it is hard to attack a switching defense compared to other type of defenses? First of all, because I think it's hard to create a 2-on-1 situation with ball screens, for example, or with screens. So when we play a pick and roll, for example, usually like both a drop coverage or an aggressive coverage, the big man commits to the ball for a second because his defender is screened. And so you create a 2-on-1 situation and you have a 4-on-3 situation for the offense outside of it. And with this, it's hard to create outnumber situation because they switch every time. And also what happened, if you watch some NBA clips, especially after the first switch, you're afraid to continue to move the ball and to cut and to create movement because a good switching defense is also good at scram switch. So what I call scram switch is like switching on three. So let's say that there is a 1-5 pick and roll and there is a switch. So we have the biggest advantage possible with our number 5 against the number 1 in the post. But if we move the ball goes to the, and that mismatch goes to the weak side, then the defense maybe has a chance to switch back or reduce the mismatch. Maybe the 3 goes on the 5 or the 3 goes on the 1 and they reduce the mismatch. And so what happens is that sometimes the offense becomes too stagnant, it stops. And due to this, we have an over reliance. We rely on static one-on-one too much. And we have a limited number of opportunities to attack the paint, because it's hard to get downhill against a drop coverage, and it's hard to create situation to pass the ball around from there.
Mm-hmm.
So before going on strictly about attacking switches, what I want to say is that our idea of attacking switches should be inside our idea of offenses. So let's say that these are the principle of our offense. And the idea that we were going to use to attack switches need to be inside that. So we'll elaborate more on that later. And inside our principle, we have what I call the tools. So, so a tool, we can go back to that later. A tool is like an artifact, is something that I'm going to use in a specific situation. So for example, if the principle of my offense is let's move the ball around a lot, a tool can be like a boomerang action. And we'll speak about that later. So when attacking switches, and I get back to the video in a moment, we have both like two extreme of this. And one biggest idea can be, okay, now we have created a mismatch. We stop everything else. We don't give the defense any options to switch back, and we attack that one-on-one, both on the perimeter against a smaller defender or on the post against on the perimeter against a slower defender or in the post against a smaller defender. In the other extreme, we can simply continue our normal action. And if you see, like, the Warriors were a great example of this, especially in 2016 before Durant got there, because they were continuing to move the ball, and they were creating opportunities against switches by simply just create confusion for the defense. Obviously, between these two extremes, there are possibilities and way we can decide to use to attack. So before getting to the video, we need to have principle against switches. And this principle can be different for every coach and for every team. So let's say that in your team, your philosophy is, and this is an example from a great Italian coach, he says, below 10 seconds in the shot clock, we don't want to explore the mismatch inside. There's still less time, the defense is gonna like trap him, and when the ball gets out, there's not enough time to punish it. So below 10 seconds on the shot clock, we want to attack for the mismatch on the perimeter. This is an example, it's not what I'm saying, oh, this is the truth. So this has to be coherent with our personnel. Let's say that we have a great post-up big man, we have a great one-on-one player in the guard, we have Steph Curry, or we have Shaquille O'Neal. It's different, and this has to be coherent, and also has to be coherent with the way we attack our other coverages. So what I mean is that if against an aggressive hedge defense, we want to have a short roll in that situation, we have to understand that sometimes the switch is going to come up almost as a hard edge, and I need to be coherent, and I need to know that my big man will slow that for a moment, and I cannot text to my player, if they do this, you have to run deep, and if they switch, you have to stay. If they show, you have to stay there, because it's hard to recognize in the moment. But I will get to this. So the use of a tool is a tool is a strategical part that you can only use if you have a solid technical understanding. So if it's useless, so we as coaches, we believe that we are important, but actually, if we don't have good players, we are not going to be able to do anything. So, and I also have solid technical skills, so how to execute it, and also have good understanding of when to use it. When to use it means, okay, I recognize there is a mismatch. I recognize as a team, because we have our priority clear, that we want to punish it in this way. And now to punish it on the perimeter, let's say, we're going to have to use this specific tool. So compromise and punish the switch. This is very important. Too many times we made a clear mistake that we only accept the switch in a passive way, and then we try to react to it. So what I mean is that the big man run to the screen, and we run sometimes almost in a lazy way, because he knows that the screen won't get advantage to itself. It will be only to activate the switch. And this is terrible. We as coaches have to fight against it. What we really want is to try to compromise the switch. So what the defense wants to do is, the switch is an aggressive coverage, because the switcher defender comes up almost at the level of the screen. And so everything that we can do against an aggressive coverage can be done effectively against a switch to make it harder. So for example, if I am able to create separation before the screen, if the big man really sprint to set the screen, if the big man is involved, let's say, in a ramp screen we'll see what it is. It's a small screen to create separation before the pick and roll action, for example. Everything that I can do to improve the separation between the big man and his own defender, the screener and his own defender, is going to make harder and harder to switch. So alignment of the team is, because if I get a specific alignment in my pick and roll, it's harder for the defense to switch on three, to create a scram switch, or to reduce the mismatch. I want to have the better spacing as possible to punish the mismatch in the best way as possible. Tell me if anything is clear, but I hope it is. I'm eager to go to the video. Perfect. So at the moment of the screen, so we divide the tools that we speak before, we divide it in 3 different categories. So before the screen, at the moment of the screen. So let's say that at the moment of the screen, we really insist with our guard to reject the screen, because we think it's really valuable, because they're expecting, so maybe the defender of the ball is moving a little bit to the screen, because they want to create contact with the big man. They want to be ready to switch, and you can reject in that situation many times. Or the big man can flip the screen. So change, I call flip, like the change of the angle of the screen at the last moment. That's also a great tool. And we will see this tool better in the video. You don't need me to explain it now, just by word. And after the switch is the bigger part, and for sure is the most common, but we have to insist with our players to really know that it's not the only part. That the part that we should care about is, okay, try to get there with as much separation as possible. We try to punish the switch before it happens, and now we can punish it after, but with a bigger advantage before. So I will get to the video. Are you able to see it, right? Are you able to see the video?
Looks good.
Okay, perfect. Let me know if you have any question and we can stop. Okay, attacking switch in defense. So moment of the screen. This is a little example of how to arrive alone. So here you'll see Klay Thompson is going to set a screen for Steph Curry for a pick and pop in the corner. And what's happened is that Bogut here set a small screen. In the NBA, the terminology is wedge screen to get him more separation before arriving there. And now, since he has this separation, it's easier to sleep. This, in the end, is a crazy tough shot, and Klay Thompson is a beast, but the principle behind it is what we want to see. Reject, as we speak before, so it is a 1-4 pick and roll. They were about to switch this. You have all the paint empty to attack. Trae Young here. If the video is lagging too much, tell me, because I'm going to stop it a little bit more often, okay? So here, there is a 1-5 pick and roll with PJ Tucker. You know that Houston is going to switch everything. And here is a great situation to reject it. And one of the positive side when you reject it is not only that you have a drive at the rim, but that often if you have your number 5 here in the pick and roll, there is no rim protection. Here you have James Harden. You don't have a big man because the big man is involved in the screen here. So really something that, especially when we coach young players, we have to stress it. Other technique, other tool. So here, Dalgiris, the team in white, is going to switch. What most of the team do, most of the offense does, is stop, dribble back to the half court or create a boomerang action, but not attack the big right away. And this is something that you can do to steal one basket sometimes. So what I mean is simply attack him, attack him immediately. Don't let him settle. Don't let him set up his feet. Don't let me go down and say, okay, I'm ready to play defense. So we have another example of this here. Again, they're ready to switch and you attack him immediately. So what this is playing against the habit of the defense. The defender there is waiting for the ball handler. Okay, there is a switch. I dribble back. I do something else. Now I create space to attack. And this is right. It's not wrong. But this is a trick, let's say, to steal 1 or 2 baskets per game. I don't think it's something that you can do all the game. So every time you see a switch, you attack downhill. The defense will understand it and they will be more conservative, more lower. Okay, This is something that we can do sometimes to steal a basket. So this is another great example, a great tool, a touch screen. And we will have some clips of this. So what it is, a touch screen, these are the 3 categories. I'll leave this for a moment, so if you want to read it, but the key is, I really like it because it plays against the defense. So what it is, you screen the lower side of the defender because you don't get the defense a chance to go under you, to go between you and the rim. And another great technique is, correct me if you're wrong, coach, but when we speak up to the defender, we always say, you have to switch when there is contact. And we say this to avoid situation of sleeping, of ghost screen and stuff like that. But this idea for the offense plays exactly into that. And so there is a pass. This is a guard-to-guard screen. They want to switch it. So what the offense is gonna do is screen here. If you screen here, this guy now is supposed to take care of you, of number 11, Drew Holiday, but now is above you. So it's gonna be very hard for him to cover on that role. We have another example of this. It's ideal for a pistol action. So you go immediately below him and go. I think we have another one. This is in Europe. Same idea. They want to switch here. It's a pick and roll with Calates, but they want to switch. We can get into that later. And you touch him and you go away immediately. Okay. I think this is a switch killer. I really like this. I think it's something that we need to practice with our player more and more.
Coach,
yeah.
Sorry, I have a question, if it's okay.
Yeah,
when you
sure.
do that, when you go under the screen with the touch move, do you need to have it like 1-4, 1-5 screen, or you can do guard to guard?
So I love guard to guard. So if you see these 2 examples were a guard to guard screen. So this is a guard to guard situation improvised. This was, I think they were playing 2 and 3 probably in this alignment right now. And also this is perfect. You see a lot of this in this like pistol alignment. If you do
right
in a pistol spacing without the pass, so it's a screen here, because you see if the screen comes from below, it's very hard for that defender to go under. And
Okay.
I think it's really good. It's not easy to execute. So here's another situation. Here's an off-ball screening. What's happening here is that Betis Sevilla wants to switch on this off-screen action. Okay, he's going over to take care of number 3 here, and this guy is supposed to take JC Carroll. But what he's doing here, number 3, Anthony Randolph, is screening his own man. You see, he's screening whoever is trying to recover on the shooter. I'm gonna show it once again. The video is moving slowly, or it's stopping too much and I have to stop it more?
Yeah, you're doing okay. We're seeing what we need to see.
Okay.
Thank you.
I know that sometimes with this Zoom call it's lagging a lot. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Here's another example. So here there is some situation before. Don't worry, like there is a screener, and number 21 here recognized that this player is coming out alone. So what he's doing is screening his own man, Jonas Jerebko here. And he's screening him so he's not able to recover on the shooter. If any concept is not clear, let's make me a question. This is another interesting solution because the defense was switching in this situation. And here they are screening the switch, not in a off-ball situation, but in an on-ball screen. So he's going here and he's screening like 2 men at the same time. This is genius. This is Daniel Theis when he was playing in Germany. You know, Daniel Theis from Boston Celtics right now. He's screening 2 men.
Absolutely. He's doing the same thing in Boston, and he's very underrated, but he's doing a great job. Yeah.
So this is something that this is not a perfect clip of it, but it's very hard to find a good clip of it. So it's something that I've seen only twice by like Mike Conley, Marc Gasol in Memphis. And the idea is that when they switch under, when they want to go under to switch, you can treat that under switch as it a under, like a coverage under, and you can rescreen that, and you allow this ball handler to attack this other direction, this other road over here. It's something that I just want, this is not a great clip, but just to highlight to you the idea that if they go under, we can punish them to go under, and we can rescreen them, and they don't expect it. Because the big man,
Makes sense,
I just take care of a guard, and I don't expect him to come back to the side where he just came from, because there should be my teammate over there. But if my teammate is screened a little bit by the big man and is maybe not worried about the guard, is worrying about the big, is worrying about like pushing him and not going him go fast to the rim, this is something that can be effective. This is another great example at the moment of the screen. So, okay, nothing materialized. There is a drive, and this is where I want you to look at. I hope it doesn't lag too much. Okay, here, this is an offensive box out, we call it. You can call it in any way you want. The idea is to, if the defender wants to front you, want to go in top of you, you let him do that, and then he's not going to be able to help when the drive starts. See, the defender is in front, stop him, also with his hand a little bit, but he attack immediately.
You're right. The first person that I remember whenever you would show something like that, it's really Daniel Theis, to a certain degree, Draymond Green of the Warriors. They do a very good job of that.
So after the switch, I just made this category and we'll get through all of this. So when we want to attack the one-on-one for the guard, we need to worry about our spacing and which spacing is it most effective to create space to attack. And also I will speak just a little bit about gravity. And so where we want to put our best shooter in order to not have like a defender off a bad shooter being in a position to help. We will speak about actions to attack, boomerang decoys, and stuff like that. We'll get through all of this. So on the perimeter. So here's a switch. You see Jason Tatum against Anthony Davis here. And now this is the picture when there is a switch in the NBA. I would say 80% of the time, this is the spacing where they want to attack. So this player can be here or it can be here on the wing, these guys in the corner, these guys in the corner, and these guys in the weak side dunker spot. Okay, because now you have a double gap here to attack, on 1.5 gap here, 1.5 gap here if this man is a little bit wider, and you have space to attack. There are some exceptions like Houston attack with a 5-out spacing sometimes, or they move the dunker spot to the weak, to the ball side, but basically 80% of the time, that's the spacing. Same here in Europe. It is perfect. Corner, it can be also a little bit more to the corner, dunker spot, and this guy on the wing. It's very hard to help in this alignment because when there is a drive, if this guy is help, there is this guy here ready to punish it. Corner 3 is threat. Attack immediately, great finish.
That guy's left on an island. There's
yeah, exactly.
Double space on each side, so I get you what you're saying.
Exactly. And too much when we practice this, we are not clear enough. And what happened is that, at least in my team, it happens sometimes that we have this guy play here on top, and we have a guy here in the wing, a guy here in the wing, and now these players are allowed to sit here in the gaps and to shrink the space a lot. While we need to be clear with our team, okay, if we want to punish the mismatch with the guard, this need to be our spacing. This need to be our spacing to punish it. So gravity, I don't know if you're familiar with the term gravity. It's a term that Americans love to use to express how much a defense is worrying about someone and how much do they attract their own defender. So I can link you a great article before. It is linked over here. But if you look gravity basketball on Google is the second link that it appears. So this is a crazy example. This is a spacing that it's bad. So just look what Kevin Durant is going to be doing. So Steph Curry is attacking. Is not here, but he will move even more to the ball. But since he's Kevin Durant, this defender should be interior over here. He should be in the middle of Steph Curry driving lane. But since this guy is Kevin Durant, he's worried about him. And nobody of us has Kevin Durant in your team. But the idea is simply put your best shooter as close to the ball as possible, so it's harder for the defender to sag away from him. So boomerang action. I don't know if you're familiar with the term boomerang action, but it's basically a pass and pass back action. It's very common when we attack a switch. And we will see different layers of it because I think that the typical boomerang sometimes can be really useless. But if we add some layers and some tricks to it, it can be a great action to attack the switch. So the switch is here. This is, okay, you pass the ball, pass back. This action creates something. Was this defender, the switch defender, worried a little bit about it? No, at all. Like this pass and pass back was completely useless. Now we can attack and he can beat him one-on-one. That is not the point. The point is that with this action, we didn't create any advantage. It's simply an illusion for us coaches that, okay, we have some ball movement. We didn't. Like if you just dribble back and attack, it would have been the same, exactly the same. And you can see many situations like this in basketball. So now we have a clip where you see this spacing again. So corner, this defender this guy is a little bit too closer, but I have a pass. And now look at this guy is making what I call a road running start. He's running to the ball and he attack. I think the difference between the situation before and this is pretty clear. Now I am dynamic and I attack the ball moving. Another example of this. So Bradley Beal here is attacking. Okay, try to attack the first time, pass the ball out, and now instead of receiving it in a static way, he's running away from it and he's receiving, basically is having Capella defender on a closeout situation. And now it's much more easy to attack. So this was the layer 2. What I call layer 2 is you pass, and you go back at the ball in a dynamic way to attack immediately. This is another way. So I have a switch. What this guy is doing is looking inside. And by is fake with the ball, is high positioning. This guy is worried about this. He's not caring just about his own man. You see the difference between the Rockets in the first clip. Nanni was here watching the ball. Now he has to worry about it. Again, a closeout, and you can attack a closeout much easier way than you would do a static defender. Same situation here. Switch happen. I'm stopping just for you to know because I know it's very hard to see with the video lagging. This guy is watching inside. He wants to punish the mismatch inside, and this guy Seth Curry is running to the ball. Bam. And I attack a dynamic one-on-one. Dynamic one-on-one is the foundation of everything. This is the switch. Vladomitsov against Jan Vesely. Pass like a boomerang action, and look what he's doing right here. He's attacking here. So let's try to examine it. If he's attacking the nail, this guy can help and decide, okay, I have a mismatch to worry about. I'm not gonna help, and so I will stay here and I will deny the top. But there will be a huge gap here to attack middle penetration. He's helping, and so what's happening is that now it just not only has to defend a close mismatch situation, but a mismatch in a closeout situation. Very harder, much harder. We'll see another example here. So Ingles tried to attack the first time, nothing happened. Pass the ball out, again, same concept. Attack him. Basically, the idea is to involve the switch defender in another help. So it just not only has to help, has to worry about, I'm guarding somebody faster than me, somebody with a better offensive player maybe. Now I have to do an help and then recover on him. I hope you see how much difference there is between the basic boomerang action, bam, pass and pass back, and something like this where the defender now really has to worry about something else. It's not just that I pass the ball and I take the ball back. Okay. This is another tool. It's using other action as a decoy. So the biggest advantage here is to attack Nanni. We know that in this year is not a great defender. This is Jay Crowder, athletic driver. So this mismatch is not involved in the primary action. The primary action is a pick and roll here. But what they're doing is using this action as a fake, as a decoy, to create a drive here. It takes a terrible shot, but I hope the concept is clear. Another example.
It is.
You see, this is the mismatch. You have Capella against number 6 with a guard, faster player, and they pretend to not care. They go on and play a pick and roll action here. Okay, what it does that, okay, you see number 4 here, PJ Tucker, and number 5, Capella. They are both very high. We take away every rim protection from them. So as soon as the ball starts, the paint is completely empty. You see, we take the focus of the defense away from what we really care, which is this mismatch, by using another action. I find it like a really smart idea to trick the defense into worrying about something. So the second topic that I really want to talk about to you is leverage the mismatch. So we want to use the mismatch. The defense is worrying about that, and we have something else, open some other opportunities to attack. So a main concept for me is the idea of punish who helps. This is not just against switching defense, it's about like pick and roll offense, post-up offense, off screen, like you have to identify what's helping and try to punish the player. The defense is worried about the ball, use off action with a different example of this. And we'll see even a clip from my team with something that we did pretty good. So this is the classical example I think, okay, we have a mismatch over here. So Jason Tatum here is sit in the gap. Is you want to show a big body as possible. And now when this pass coming, you attack the closeout. It's very basically, we can find 30 examples of this. Second example, this is my team in white. Mismatch here and here. This guy was not a great post-up player, but we tried to look for him inside. We tried to look for him. He's not able to create contact and to keep his defender on his back. Bad. We moved the ball back to the other side of the mismatch. You see, our spacing was pretty bad in this situation. And now he's trying to attack, you know? And since he's trying to attack, this guy relaxes. You know, every player think, okay, they didn't give the ball to my man. I did it. This time I denied the pass to the big man. I won it. Now it's up to somebody else to take it, okay? But as soon as the ball comes here, he's still again to take a position. And now we are able to fit him inside. So, okay, you remember the touch screen that we speak about? Other example. So this is Fenerbahce. It's one of the best team in Europe. And the coach is one of the best coaches in Europe, probably the best. His name is Obradovic. I'm sure you're familiar with him. And this is a switch situation. And what they do is, okay, this guy is helping. This guy is ready to help. He's looking at the ball. I hope you're able to see it. So what they're doing is attacking him. How? In this way. See, yeah, this is the same clip.
Could you do that again, Coach?
Yeah,
it seems
this is it.
fast.
Yeah, okay. I will try to elaborate on this concept that is pretty simple, but it's not. So if they switch on a 1-5 pick and roll, probably we expect them to switch on a flare screen here. You know, in theory, it's easy. Like he goes here, the shooter number 70 goes to the corner, these guys take him, he screen, and then come up here, come up here, these guys take him. We are set. There's no problem for the defense. And this guy is really worried because he wants to help. He wants to stand on the ball because he is a mismatch. But what happened is that they go here. Again, you remember we said 3 things about touch screen. You have to screen on the lower side. You have to touch him to activate the coverage. And you have to release the screen immediately. And this is what he's doing. Go on, touch him. This guy is going at the corner guy, and now is completely free. I have another example of this, don't worry. This is probably one of the most interesting concepts I've seen in Europe. Mismatch over here, guy ready to help. This is Avidia, the future lottery pick. Touch, create contact, create confusion between these two defenders. You see both of them goes to the perimeter guy, and he is able to go.
So you use the flare as a misdirect.
Exactly.
Okay.
The idea is,
Clever.
so what we're trying to teach to our player is, first of all, we don't want them to sleep without contact because we think it's easier, you know, as when we teach the defense, we coach to them, you know, switch when there is contact. And so we want to use them against them, like a weapon against them. The second part is that we teach to this player, you know, don't screen him and go outside. This would be useless. Just screen him, stay on the inside and attack. If you want, I can link, I have a nice YouTube video of like 10 situations like this. They can steal 1 basket per game in this way against the top defense in the world. So now we go to the other side of the mismatch. If you have any other question about the mismatch on the perimeter, we can do it right now if you prefer, if you think it's easier, or we can go to the mismatch inside.
No questions per se, but I think my takeaway at this point is the touch can be used a couple of different ways. It could be used against a side middle pick and roll, and it could be used as a secondary misdirect action for the flare in this situation that you just cited. So thank you. It's very clever.
Exactly. So
coaches, please send us your questions in the Q&A section so that once coach is done with presentation, we can start rattling off questions. immediately. So thank you. Sorry, coach. You can
No, don't
continue.
worry. Perfect. So this is the most basic example. I just show one. So here the defense switch under, because you can switch over or under. I think this is clear for everybody on the call. If you switch under, the terminology that we use is you have to bury him, you know, to put him below you, you put him in a grave, you take him under the basket, like whatever terminology we want to use, we have to transmit player our energy. The fact that this is something very physical. This is something that where we want to transmit energy, passion for it, okay? You go, you don't stop for take the ball here on the logo in black. You want to take him in the paint and finish with 1 dribble or 0 dribble, it's even better. So sometimes the defense, more and more defenses right now are switching over, especially in Europe, in the NBA with the type of player that they have, it's impossible. So what they're doing is this. They're gonna switch. This guy wants to go over because he don't want to go under, he don't want to be buried, he don't want to be sealed in the paint. So he's gonna go over. And what he's doing right now, instead of rolling immediately to the basket to roll here, you want to win the space. So by win the space, you say, okay, you're over. Now, all this space here, I hope you see my mouse, the space that I'm highlighting, all this space here is for the offensive player. If I go here, I have less space to take that lob pass. Okay, if I go here, and we will see later some clips where the offense goes here, this player will be in a better position to help, and we will have to do something else, and obviously we can, to punish him. But here is a great way, because if this guy come all the way over here, this is an easy pass to the corner. Look at the mistake here. So this guy is an advantage, he's rolling. He's not able to take this guy in front of him. And when the ball is flying, see what he did? I hope you see clearly. So here, what we would want from our player is that when the ball is flying, you don't go to the ball, but you win the space. We come back to that terminology. We need to be as consistent as possible with our terminology. So this space here should be yours. Because, okay, he gets in front of you here, but when the ball is flying, you have to keep him behind you, and now this space is yours. He doesn't do that. Here, the defense comes in front of him again because he was moving to the ball. The defense goes in front of him again, and the defense is continuously in front of him. Terrible job, and in the end, we take a terrible shot. He takes the rebound and he scores. So he is better than me for sure. Okay, another example. Switch under. Okay, he can give him the ball right away, but this is not a position where we want to punish the mismatch. It's too far away from the basket, and it would need 2 dribbles, and it would be trapped maybe, and we will put him in a bad position. What we want is to flash this guy, and now he's continuing to slide, keep his defender on the back to take the ball for an easy foul. So I'm gonna show you it again. I think it's very important. Don't settle. Don't just be happy with a catch here. It's not what we want. We want to punish the mismatch as deep as possible, inside the smile, whenever it's possible. It's not gonna be possible every time. Hold one side, again, win the space. Look here. Correct me if I'm wrong, like 80%, 90% of the big man would do is to roll immediately at the rim. Okay, I have a small guy, I want to roll. But if I roll, I lose all this space. Now I keep him and I win all the space. This space is for me. So this guy is in a bad position because his man is running to set a screen. What do I do? If I stay here and I help on the lob, there would be a 2-on-1 situation on the ball. But if I run at the ball, this is what happened. Okay, I hope that was clear, and we come back to that. So this is my explanation of the idea of punish who helps. Punish who helps is very important, and it's something that this year I was coaching a pro team and an under 14 team, And with the under 14, we were speaking about that all the time. So there is somebody helping on a drive, you have to punish him. And punish him means that you have to continue to play your one-on-one without the ball all the time. It doesn't mean that you have to cut to the basket if your man is not looking. It can be that, for example, if your man is not looking because he's helping, you can punish him by cutting at the basket, by making a flare screen for somebody else, by making a pin in. We will see what that is in my terminology. You can do different things, or simply you move to another spot on the floor, but you cannot let and help give left unpunished. You cannot simply not punish somebody. That would allow the defense to give free help. We don't want that. The defense want to help the helper. What we want to do is keep the initiative and punish that second help. We'll see a great example of this. So keep your attention on this player if you can. Okay. Here, it creates an advantage. There is a switch off the ball. So this is a mismatch. But this guy, the defender, is in front. So if I stop the picture right now, what is that makes me impossible for me to give this lob pass? It's this guy. So we have to punish him because he is helping in our lob. So the way we punish him is with this player making a flash cut here. Did you see what happened with the video? So I want to punish him, flash, keep the contact, not like the clip we see before, and punish him. This is something that I like. If you take away one thing from my presentation, I would love to be this: the idea that you can see every situation in offense and see, okay, who's helping, and I have to punish him. This is like a paradigm, like something to guide all my basketball thought in offense. So again, here is fronting. I cannot give the lob pass because this man is helping. This man is here in the paint. And now when this guy is going up, he is going up with him. He wants to deny it. He wants to deny it. Now there is nobody helping. So I remove the help. Lob pass, easy finish. Another example. First pick and roll. Switch here. This guy is fronting. This guy should have a lob. Here, number 13 is taking it away. So this guy has to punish him because his man is helping and he has to punish him. I know I'm repetitive and I'm going back in this, but with my player, I'm even worse. Like I'm telling them all the time, like your man was helping and you didn't punish him. So mismatch here. The ball goes here. Again, he's in front. No lob possible because this player is protecting in the paint, and this guy read this free space and attack it. Great shot. This is the level 2. Now the defense is even smarter. What happened is that, okay, switch, pass. Now there is a mismatch over here. So this guy is helping. So what are they doing is that this guy is flashing up. The defense is super smart. And they say, no, I want to take this away. They want to use this space. But now he is helping. He is helping the helper. And so the ball goes here. The ladder, first level was here, the first advantage. Here there was the second advantage. They are moving it to take it away. Now we have the third advantage. And I have a drive. I hope this is clear for everybody. The idea, at least. It's not easy to execute. Like it's not easy to execute for anybody. I'm not able to make it my team do it all the time. But another example. So switch. Smaller guy against the big man. 4 seconds on the shot clock. This is very hard. This guy is helping. He's not on the weak side, but he's helping. You see, is not. You cannot give this lob pass because he would take it. So you have to give it to his man. Pass, pass. Again, I want to come back to the idea of principle and philosophy of your offense. in this situation, okay, this is a great basket, but if your principle is, no, 4 seconds on the shot clock, this is too risky. We could have risked a 24-second violation. I pass the ball to this big man with 3 seconds on the shot clock. I don't know what he's gonna do. That's fine. I think that if you don't have such a great passer as a big man, that's fine. You say, okay, 4 seconds on the shot clock, you as a guard has to create your own shot against the big man. And that's probably a higher percentage shot than what we can do with this action. I think all of this is great, but you have to understand which tool you can use for your own player. Like, it's not all the same. Another example of this. Here's that it was not a pick and roll, but there was a switch happened because they ran in transition. And so this guy is facing him. What happened immediately is that the other big man, usually big men are very smart in this, they recognize that they have to help in the paint. You know, he's going lower. He is worried about this low pass, and this guy is going here. When the ball goes, he has to go to the ball. Easy basket. So we spoke about spacing for the guard. Now we spoke about spacing to give the ball inside. It's exactly the opposite of what we see before. Here is the mismatch. And now look here at the spacing. We pulled 4 players above the free throw line. If you remember before, when we want to attack with a guard, we want to leave him alone on an island. So we have a player here, player here, player here, player here on the wing, and a lot of space here. What we're doing here is the same. We leave this man alone on an island, okay? And we pull up everybody else. Now there is nobody that can help. And if you have a good shooter here and a good shooter here, this is very, almost impossible to defend. You can risk a 3-second violation maybe, but that's another topic. Same example. Advantages over here. You see this guy coming up. Now, okay, try to look good. Okay. Immediately, I cannot give on the principle of punish who helps. I cannot give the ball inside because this man is helping. So is on offensive player, pull up. Now this guy is helping. And number 25 here, pull up too. Like, they're all up, and they're all up in order to create space alone on a highland to pass the ball inside and punish him. So this is interactive. This is from my league. The video seems from 300 years ago. It's actually 2 seasons ago, but our technology was not great. So this is a very smart set. This is a 1-4 pick and roll, and they switch. Okay. So here we have a mismatch inside with number 4 against number 1. This is a great example of leverage the mismatch, because what we do is, okay, you have a 4 against a 1 here on the post. Here is number 5. And the natural tendency on number 5 would be, okay, I have to help here. I will be like a goalkeeper in this position. I would not go up. So you use his own offensive player to set a flare screen over here. You create a 2-on-1 situation here. Because he was worried about the mismatch inside. I found this set particularly, like I can say it because it's not mine, it was for somebody else. This is a genius set. It's very clever idea to how to punish the defense. Again here, mismatch over here. He is looking inside, he makes the defense worried. And when the ball is flying, this guy will not simply like washing. He will make a pin-in screen. You know, you see the ball flying, you want to, I call it a pin-in because you screen your man inside. It's not my creation, but you screen his man inside to create the easy shot. These are all idea to watch the ball inside and then pass it out. To watch, to create a warning for the defense that you're gonna punish the mismatch inside and then do something else. Now, just very quickly, just to stay in the principle, not to go, like when the ball go in, you can have 30 different options. Like it's not up to me to show it everybody. There are great channel on YouTube for that. I want to highlight the principle and the concept behind it. So Here there is a trap, and here you see, here you have a 2-on-1 situation. One defender for 2 offensive player. So you have to punish him. This is the most basic way to punish, and I think it works only if you have a good shooter and a good shooter. Great in this case. If one of them is not a great shooter, we will see what you can do. Okay. This is an example from the Warriors. So Kevin Durant, mismatch against Kyrie in the post. Okay. They go and trap, help. So you have 2 shooters with great gravity here, Steph Curry and Klay Thompson, and their defender has to stay high with them. So you don't worry too much about the spacing. Oh, but Steph Curry and Klay Thompson are too close to each other, because their defender will stay with them no matter what. What you have to worry about is the spacing of these 2 non-shooter. So in this situation, Golden State makes them both cut. And I think this is Tristan Thompson, if I'm not mistaken, is taken in the middle. High post, Sean Livingston, on the dunker spot, Draymond Green, and you punish them. So what you do to punish, it depends on the player that you have. It cannot be decided in a vacuum. If you have great shooters, they need to know certain action and certain spacing that they have to be. If they are non-shooter, they need to know how to maximize their danger offensively, even if they're not shooter. So here, mismatch, attack, attack. Again, if you put attention to it, it's almost the same spacing as before. We have 2 guys over here and 2 guys on the weak side. In the first example, on the weak side was shooter here, because there were 2 shooters. Now we have an example where one of them is a shooter, the other one is not a great shooter. So what he's doing is that he's screening the man. He's worrying inside, he's worrying about the help. So it's a 2-on-1 situation. This guy is supposed to take these 2 guys, and he's screening him. So I think the better question to ask yourself is like, okay, I have 2 shooter on the weak side, I have 1 shooter on the weak side, or I have 2 non-shooter on the weak side like Golden State did before. Now, again, other way, other tool, he cuts. So instead of having a 2-on-1 here, he cuts, and this is a 1-on-0 here. And you see, this is nice, the nice details that I love. When the ball is fine, he's looking at his own man and saying, why don't you help me? Why didn't you help me? And it's not his fault, obviously, because he was helping on this flash cut. And if it didn't help, it would have been a free throw for J.C. Carroll. Okay, so this is the basic idea. These are the last clip. Later, I leave the floor to the question, and I hope you have some consideration to do it. So this is a scram switch. So we speak before about having a good alignment so the defense cannot switch on 3. What happened here is that you have a small guy here, but this guy from the weak side, pull him out and say, okay, I got you. See, you reduce the mismatch. And now it's great job of patience from Real Madrid with just 9 seconds on the shot clock. So the mismatch is not here anymore, but still you have number 4 here against a small guard. So you have to be patient enough to reverse the ball and find them. I think this is a great example of it. It's not easy when the defense got out of the first mismatch. You have to reverse the ball to find the second one. Okay, just last consideration on rebounding. So here, there's a big mismatch here. They did some confusion. This player is signing him to this guy to go on the other side, because now they give a defense the option to reduce the mismatch, take the mismatch away. So when he's cutting, what he's doing is not just cutting to take the help away, but is positioning himself for the offensive rebound. Easy rebound, pass off, easy shot. Okay, so when you have the chance to rebound, you have to go. This is another topic, the last one consideration that I want to make. The Lakers this year, still many baskets like this. I don't know if you're familiar with like this NBA basketball, but I'm sure you are. And what happened is this. Okay, you have a mismatch here. So Anthony Davis is defending on a shot, but as soon as the shots fly, Anthony Davis is not going to the board. He's not attacking the rebound. He's running in transition because he has this small guy in front of him, and he wants to seal him or to catch a lob pass on top of him. So it's really important that, okay, this guy, he can go rebound like your number 5 can go to offensive rebound if you want, but it's important that this wing, for example, Carmelo Anthony on this side, you need to run back because otherwise you're leaving your small man alone against Anthony Davis. See, CJ McCollum that took that shot was almost able to steal this pass. Imagine if this guy was number 4, he had run back, he would have been able to steal the pass. Okay, this is the difference. So when you plan how to attack the switch, you also have to know the tendency of the other team. You have to take care about your own defense. And this is just my closure to let you understand that defense and offense are very related. Okay, and okay, these are the idea, but we can talk about that later. We can go with this now. So as we said, coherent with your idea of offense, you need to be flexible. So as a coach, if you coach the Warriors or if you coach a LeBron James team, it's not the same thing. It change from your personnel, amount of shooting you have under your team, the amount of big men that you have on your team, passing skills that you have. And you have to remind that everything comes down to principle. Your principle determine your priorities when there is a switch situation, and then which tool you're gonna use. It has to be practiced. So this is one of the trickiest part for me. If you don't have a switching defense in your defensive playbook, let's call it, it's fine. You're not forced to switch, but you need to practice during the week. You need to practice and practice because it's common. And you cannot just practice once and hope it's going to be okay. You need to practice because you need to be comfortable with all the tools that you want to implement. And obviously, nothing is helpful without the technical and tactical skills. Last things, thank you for taking the time to watch. I'm really helpful. These are my contact if you want it. You can write me an email whenever you want. You can reach me and follow me on Twitter. My DMs are open. And Coach, thank you so much for having me. I'd love to hear your question. And for whatever, like if some of you is interested in having a international coach in your countries, I'm looking for international opportunities. I would love to spend some years coaching abroad, and I'm really interested in some opportunities. So I leave the floor to the question, and I will stop sharing my screen now.
Thank you so much, Coach, for the presentation. Coach Brandon Staley is asking, let's say you have a team that struggles making those reads to attack switches. Do you have a certain action you like to go to, which makes it difficult to switch, such as as a horn stack or a on the ball screen, or what's
so
your
I
action?
think that as we said, if we speak about preventing the switch, so make it impossible to switch, it's not easy. You can do like a RAM screen, you can do a screen before the screen to create some separation. So now if they want to switch, there is more separation, and number 5 has to take a running number 1. But in the end, if they really want to switch, they will be able to switch. You can only make it harder and harder. So the set that I prefer is, wait, I'll go back to my presentation because I got it. Is this set. Wait, okay. In general, like this is very common in Europe. It's a floppy action with a side pick and roll here. And here this guy pull up later, but if you play this side pick and roll with the other big man already here, it's impossible to switch on 3. So you create the easiest situation possible for your team because you have a side pick and roll here, a big man against a guard over here, and it's impossible to switch on 3. You have another big man here, corner guy here. And so I think that this is the first set that I would introduce with a team that has problem
reading defense,
attacking the switch. Yeah.
All right. What's your take on? Yes, yes. Excellent, coach. What's your take on switching and then going zone? Well, how do you attack that? You
Oh
switch
yeah.
on that. You switch on that first initial screen, and then the three guys will just zone up, and then just ends on the reversal. Just ends on a zone, or 2-3 or a
So
3-2.
I think that some of these clips, if we see it, like if we stop it and see more, are actually they're zoning up. And the idea of the touch screen that we show against from Fenerbahce as an off ball, like they were actually zoning up. You know, they were having almost a 3-2 zone because they have against a 5-out spacing. They were guarding the ball one-on-one, and they were switching that screen that you would switch that on a zone defense, you know. But since the screen was made in such a way that it was hard to turn up against that. But I think that for sure, like many teams that switch, it can be similar to a zone defense. And the other principle that I like in that situation is what we see in the aggressive boomerang. So if this guy is helping on a zone, so okay, now let's involve in a help the guy that's a switch guy. Let's call it the switch guy. So we have number 5 on top. He's not used to be on top of a zone maybe. So attack him, force him to have a nail help, and then attack a closeout with him. Okay, that would be my generalization.
Excellent, coach. Teddy, you have more question for coach?
Just one, Coach Ariel.
Yeah.
Coach Francesco, I actually asked this earlier. Could you kindly give us the 5 qualities you feel a coach should possess in order to be successful at any level?
Yeah, okay. So I think first of all, to be a good coach, you need to be a good teacher of what you know, because it's not about what you know, but about what your player do on the court. So how you transfer this knowledge. The second thing that I think is really important is coherency. You need to be coherent, both in your feedback, in the way you approach to players. It doesn't mean that the rules are strictly the same for everybody, but you need to be coherent with your team, with how you approach the game. I don't like those kind of coaches that, okay, if we have lose on Sunday, it's all trash. And if we have won on Sunday, we are the best team in the world. We're going to kill everybody. So these are 2 things. I think you have to have your knowledge. I think that knowledge there is no substitute for knowledge. So these are 3. I think you have to be flexible. You need to adapt yourself to understand that players change during the course of time, the situation change. And I think something else that you have to do is that you have to be humble. You have to understand what somebody knows more than you. So for example, I've learned a lot from my players. I was lucky enough to coach great players. And, you know, sometimes especially I speak for myself as a coach that didn't play at a high level. I think that sometimes we study the things, but sometimes it's great to have feedback like, okay, you see, this stuff that you teach me, like looks great, but when you try to do it, it's not so effective because and they offer you a different knowledge on that. And so you have to really be humble and accept. It doesn't mean that they're always right and you're always wrong. Like sometimes no, I think it's effective, and you don't see it because it's new for you, and give it time and stick with it. So it's hard because you need to be flexible, and both sometimes you have to be stubborn and say, no, I really believe in this. So
Thanks,
I offer
Coach.
you a terrible question. I'm sorry, but
No. Actually, it's pretty. I like it. Pretty good. You gave many factors on different areas. So thank you for that.
oh, thank you to you. Yeah.
Coach Ariel.
Yes. I'm just looking at the questions from YouTube. So let's I think let's reverse it. If you're the one that's what's your ball screen defense? How do you like
defense right now would
yeah.
be, I like in European context a high drop, almost up to touch. And I would ice everything on the side now.
Okay.
I've heard some nice presentations. So, for example, ice is very common here in Europe.
Yes.
And I've heard a great presentation from Fenerbahce assistant. They have a system where they send everything to the middle, not just pick and roll, but also one-on-one drive, they don't want to give out the baseline. They want to send everything to the middle because there is more help. So I think
Yeah.
that's interesting for me. It's something that I will study more next season.
Yeah, I heard an Australian coach also wants to be sending to the middle also because there's a lot more help. But I'm more of a baseline, give it to the baseline. But yeah, it's something that it's debatable, but it's preference really.
Yeah.
Yeah. All
And I
right,
think
coach. Yeah. Go
yeah.
ahead. Go ahead.
No,
Go ahead.
there's a privilege when if 90% of the team send to the baseline. I think there is an advantage to sending to the middle, even if let's say that both things are valid at the same exact level. But if everybody's doing one, I think it's slightly better to do the other. So this is one of the reasons why it's fascinating for me.
All right. So, coach, again, would like to thank you, for sharing your knowledge to us, to the Filipino coaches, and to the coaches from the Southeast Asian region that are tuned in and always attending our sessions. Again, we'll give you the floor for some parting words. Again, coach, any parting
Thank you.
words to our attendees?
It's been a real pleasure. It's been an honor for me, and I would like, if any of you have any question about my presentation, if any of you have any clips that you want to share, or you want to know more about a specific subject that I know I have to put a lot of things and I have to go quickly on them, just feel free to contact me. I love to share. And also if you want to tell me oh, we did this, we did it in a different way, I have these other options that I would like to share with you, I think we can both get richer with this exchange. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Excellent, coach. And thank you so much again.
Thanks, Coach.
Again, to our attendees, we have a session at 4 p.m. tomorrow together with Rick Olivares and Phil Oil Flying Bee. So it's the Tang brothers will join us at 4 p.m. Tomorrow. Again, good night, good afternoon. It's almost good evening to you also, Coach Francesco. Thank you again. Let's stay in touch.
Thank you.
And
Yeah,
of course, thank you so much for your generosity and sharing
thank you.
your knowledge and information to our attendees.
Thank you, Ariel. Thank you, Teddy. Bye-bye. Good
All right.
night.
All right. Good night, everyone. Good night, attendees, and we'll see you again tomorrow at 4. Stay safe. Make sure you pray, and hopefully our quarantine will be over soon. Good night. Doc, good night.
Night, Coach.